Welcome to M3 Dronescapes, everybody. As soon as this short piece is done, we're going to take a quick look at the overall features and then hear a few more demos. Welcome everybody, I'm Charlie Waymire. I'm super excited today to announce the release of my very first plugin, M3 Dronescapes. I'm gonna go over some of the features right now, and then it's gonna get to some demos that I put together, so if you don't wanna hear any of this blabbing, you can check the timestamps and jump right over to the demos. So first off, it's called M3 Dronescapes because all of this stuff was created using my M3 organ. And it happened during the writing process for a lot of songs that I've been working on, where I would just start to sample sounds that I was getting so I could, keep writing with them or maybe use more than one sound at a time. And as I started doing that, this thing just kind of grew and turned into its own thing, which eventually ended up being the M3 Dronescapes plugin. This is made for Decent Sampler, which I absolutely love. I highly recommend everyone checking out decentsamples.com. You'll have to download the player for it there anyway, but there is a lot of great instruments on that site as well. Like I said, this all originated with my M3 organ, but this is not an organ plugin. I just use that as the beginning part of the sound, and I have a whole video about that. If you'd like to see it, I'll put a link down in the description. But the signal flow was organ into one of my amps, which is usually either my Polytone Mini Brute or my Ampeg SVT. That would get recorded as a mono channel, and then I would send that signal to a stereo effects chain of just random pedals, not random, but just various guitar pedals that I would use to create the stereo left and right kind of vibe. And then I can blend those two together, and that is what formed the core sounds for M3 Dronescapes. The core sounds are broken into two main engines. The center engine, which is the sounds coming from the amp, and the stereo engine, which is the sound coming from the stereo guitar pedal effects chain. And there's 16 different core sounds you can choose from using the select sound menu above the stereo volume control. So there's quite a range of sounds already just in those core sounds. Now each engine has their own set of effects. You can see inside the boundary here, the stereo, and then inside this boundary for the center. There's a full ADSR setup for the stereo control, so you can really control and manipulate how the envelope starts and ends. The center only has attack and release, so you can control how it comes in and how it goes out. You've got low cut, high cut on the stereo, and a drive boost setup, which is distortion, which you can do some fun stuff with that. Play with that in real time. And same with the high cut and low cut filters. Play with that in real time, and you can do a lot of really cool stuff. The center channel also has low cut. It has chorus, the same drive and boost on its own, completely separate, but it doesn't have the high cut. Instead, there's a reso filter where you can set the frequency and choose the amount of boost at that frequency. Another thing to play with in real time. It's really, really cool. There's also oscillators. There's a sine and saw LFO for each one of them separate. They have their own engage, so you can turn them on and off as you want. You can also play with those in real time. All of it you can play with in real time, actually. And that can be done by just simply assigning it to some faders. And I do have some simple assignments to start off. If you right-click on any of the knobs, you can see there's MIDI learn, and if I've already assigned it to a CC number, you can see it right there. Of course, you can overwrite any of that to fit your setup. And I highly recommend doing that because playing with some of these knobs in real time are where this plugin really comes alive. Next up, we've got reverb and delay, and each engine has its own send to the reverb and to the delay. The delay, you've got some feedback time and stereo width controls right here, but the real fun stuff is the reverb, because this is all custom IRs that I made for this. And there's a handful of them. There's 3 of them, the long warm, medium warm, and the short wide, that are more your typical style of reverb, although the long warm is one of my favorites. The rest of them are custom, and they're almost like added textures as much as they are a reverb. So there's stereo, there's some movement left to right, there may be some movement up and down, that sort of thing. And you can really create another layer to the sound using those reverbs. So just like the filters, I highly recommend playing around with that a little bit just to see what combinations you can come up with. On top of that, there is a texture knob down here in the stereo controls. Now this is almost a third engine really. There's a handful of textures you can pick from down here. And these are over the stereo engine, but it's a separate volume control. So you could pull the stereo volume all the way down and just have the texture, or you could have the stereo volume all up and just blend in the texture. So it's its own volume, but it is tied to the ADSR with the stereo engine. That way you can ease the sounds in and out with the stereo sounds. To get you started using M3 Dronescapes, I've created 44 different presets, and I've used as many of the core sounds and features as possible to give you an idea of the type of sounds that you can make with M3 Dronescapes. Now you can use these as they are, or you can tweak any of these presets to be your own and save them as a new preset. Or for those of you that like to start from scratch and make your own sounds, I have two blank presets, M3 Dronescapes blank V and blank G. And the G and the V refer to how the oscillators work. So if you click the help menu down here, there's a pop-up, and right here is an explanation of how the oscillators work. G is global, which restarts the LFO each time a new note is pressed, while V is voice, which starts a new LFO each time a new note is pressed. So if you want to create some cool evolving type drones, use the V, because if you have more than one note, every time you hit a new note, it's a new LFO, so you can get things really kind of moving around each other. I like that one quite a bit, actually. That's a quick look at the features of M3 Dronescapes. It's available at soundofobjects.com. You can get the player for it at decentsamples.com. It should also be up on the Decent Samples store sometime soon as well. Please sign up for the mailing list at soundofobjects.com as well. Would love to stay in touch with you and hear how you're using M3 Dronescapes. And now it's time to take a listen to a few demos I put together.